Happy New Year, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to another episode of Playing It By Ear. I want you to go ahead and like, share, comment, send it to somebody, text your friends, group chat, whatever you need to do. Let somebody know we're on because today is a special episode. Look, I know I always say that because truly each guest is special to me. But today is truly special because today is the season finale of Playing It By Ear. 12 episodes. Today is the 12th episode. So we have completed a year of episodes of Playing It By Ear. And I'm so excited. I'm so glad. I'm so thankful to each one of you for listening, for tuning in, for sharing, for commenting. All that you've done all year long, I'm truly grateful. I think I can speak for everybody that's been involved to say truly thank you for that. It's very special. So listen, I want to take the opportunity. We're going to reflect a little bit. We're going to look at some previous episodes today. It's not like, as you can see, I'm here by myself. So it's not like our previous episode, but we're going to show some clips, some moments, some funny times, some serious times, some vulnerable times from each of our guests over this past season. I want to talk about what Playing It By Ear is, just so we're clear. We're Playing It By Ear, but this show is exclusively to artists. We see it, people singing, we see them performing, we see them dancing, all the things that they do. So this is an opportunity, this is a platform that we use that we can get some of the backstory, some things you don't know, some things that are personal to them, some things that are probably public knowledge but you just may not have known, just to really intimately know each artist. So I'm grateful that each artist has shared those things with us this year. And we've had a bunch of laughs, some kind of embarrassing moments, some fun times. But I think it's been a great time just sharing with each person and sharing it with you. So we're going to look at some things. I want you to call somebody. If you're at home, go ahead and just chill out for a minute and hang with us because we're going to look at some good times from season 1 of Playing It By Ear. How did it start? Where did it start? What's that? How did you get started?
So it started, I was 5 years old, grew up in a Baptist church. My family was singers, were quartet singers, so I grew up around a quartet family. Like my whole entire family's quartet. Grew up around a bunch of preachers, so pretty much my grandparents, my whole family is surrounded by preachers. So I was kind of pushed into singing like...
You didn't have a choice.
I ain't have a choice.
Right.
My mom, I always tell people my mom is like Joe Jackson. Like, if you missed a note, you got hit with something.
What?
Yeah.
My mama don't even like she...
Honey, my mama, we could not miss a note.
Wow.
Well, she backhanded. Well, I'm just joking. She didn't hit it. But she didn't play. And I appreciate her for that because It helped me to be a better singer. Even my other siblings, it helped us to become better singers. Even though I'm the one that kind of took the singing on with my brothers, they decided to stay in the instrument, hide behind the piano like y'all do. And the drums
ain't no hiding for me.
And the bass, they hide behind the instruments to cover up their voice, but they could really sing.
Really?
Okay. So I started out young. My mom, she plays the piano. She's been playing since I was a baby. So I kind of picked up playing the piano by ear. That was the first thing I learned how to play. Like the piano was my first thing I picked up.
So question. Did you take lessons? Or do you just play straight by?
So I took lessons in elementary for like a whole year. And
Everybody got that story.
And then I stopped.
Why did you stop, Michelle?
I don't know. Probably because when I was younger, I lived in Decatur. That's my hometown, Decatur, Mississippi. Shout out hometown.
Shout out Decatur.
So I went to Newton County.
ECC?
No, East Central. Yeah, that's over there in Decatur, but I ain't go there.
Okay.
But I went to Newton County, and we kind of transitioned from living in Decatur to Meridian, so I had to stop doing that with Newton County and then pick up in Meridian. But I never did go back, and I just kind of studied around other people, picking up from Joel Spells, Gabriel. I mean, some of the musical greats.
Shout out Joel.
Shout out to Joel Spells, Gabriel Spells. Yeah. So I kind of just.
I didn't know that. So wait a minute. I've never heard you play.
Good.
So I probably need
I always tell people I'm not the best. I'm not the best musician. I'm just good for just the little hymns and stuff like that.
If you Joel and Gabe taught you, then okay, I'm gonna pop up on a service or something.
Come on, pop up the new era.
Okay.
We start at 10:45.
Sure do. Shout out New Era.
Shout out.
I didn't know you talking about your mom was strict like that.
Yeah.
That's hard.
And my grandparents were too. My grandfather really started my my mom and their siblings in singing. They had a group called the Timms Family.
Okay.
And then my grandfather was a part of a group called the Duns of Faith.
Oh yeah, I know Duns of Faith.
If anybody remember back in the day, the Duns of Faith. Yes. So that was my granddaddy and my uncles.
Wait a minute, who your granddaddy?
James Earl Timms. And my uncle was Reverend S.B. Towner.
I'm bad with names. I bet I know him for seeing.
I'm sure you probably would know if you had a song, yo.
Yeah.
So I kind of grew up around there. So it kind of sprung from my granddad and from my granddad to my mama. And even now I have 2 girls. So my mom wants me to kind of, you need to make now? Like, nah, I ain't going to do them how you did me now. I'm just going to let them.
But you know, that's needed though, in a sense. Like
it is.
It's, because we always talk about, the younger generation and what they don't do. But sometimes they be us as parents, because we don't want them to be traumatized like we were.
Right.
Because even though I appreciate, the things that we went through growing up, some of that stuff we was like, man, we weren't regular. I feel like a super kid, because all my friends were going playing and doing stuff on weekends and Sundays. We was going to church.
Right.
So
we didn't have time to go and do all the other stuff now.
And I know a couple guys, man, I think are amazing. Tell them why. I think, shoot, they probably outplay me, but they don't listen musically nor advice.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing your thing, like you said, just about even those bands you're playing with. We playing music, man. This is not your time to. Nobody cares, and I hate to say that in a mean way, but that's the truth. Nobody cares about that. We're glad you can play. That's why you're here.
Yeah, that's why you got the call.
Right. But we don't need that right now. We assume you can do what you asked to do, and they take that so
personal.
Yeah, personal, man. Like, no, I don't know you. I just know you're not doing what I'm asking you to do. So how do we do that, man? Like, is there a way around that? Or how do you do that? Let me direct that question to you. How do you do? Because I know you. I done heard stories about you. You kind of.
I'm a straight shooter I'm a straight shooter until the point to where I know if I know it's gonna like create a rift between us.
Yeah.
I won't even do it.
Right.
But if you like cool and you just want me to be a straight shooter around you.
Oh yeah.
Like, cause I got people like Chris Kelly.
Chris, man.
He's one of the people that like he'll be like, "What you think, Ray?" And he genuinely means what I think.
Man,
so
Chris is amazing, man. I knew Chris when he was a kid, like sitting behind in the back of the church listening, and to see where he is now, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, so it's like people like him. Who else could I say that? Like, this a quiet killer in Hattiesburg that people don't really. When I say killer people, I don't mean like. I mean a musician killer, but.
You gonna get us census, man, and flags. Go ahead.
Kobe Willis. Kobe. It was like 3 months in a row. Kobe would come over my house every Sunday, or my apartment every Sunday, and like, OG, what can I fix?
Right.
And he genuinely meant what can I fix? I want to get better. He's not doing music full time, but he's like, I still want to get better.
Right.
So the people who really want to hear, I tell them, But other than that, I've grown to keep it to myself because, man, this conversation is wild. We have it in Hattiesburg a lot, and between me, Jeff, Ben, Langston, man, I wish Ben did more interviews or stuff like this because he's a great person to talk to. But we have conversations like, did we drop the ball? I always ask, did we drop the ball by not
doing that,
not making sure that they was on it? But he's like, no. Right. And then I watch interviews of other people and they be like, man, you ain't obligated to do none of that.
You're not obligated to do that.
So like, dang, where am I?
I'm
torn on that, like, because I want to help.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I'm not obligated to. If you don't want to accept it, it is what it is.
Right. What you just said too, man, like that's a real thing. I feel that, like, man, what can you do more? Because the truth is, now, again, I'm saying this, but I'm asking your opinion. when you look at the state of where you believe music is going, sometimes it's disheartening. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel bad, like, dog, you know what I'm saying? What could I have done to prevent that, or what can I do? And I go through this, man, I'm just one person. Like, what am I going to do? But then if you have the ones who have the responsibility to shoot it, I think that's a thing. But then you don't want to be shunned either. Like, hey, man, I keep this to myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember Skip Bayless when Zion first came into the league. I don't remember. I know they played the Lakers or whatever, but LeBron embraced him after the game and was like talking his ear. And Skip was like, "Man, you ain't got to be that to the young generation. They don't want your advice and stuff like that." And I'm assuming, I don't know LeBron from nobody else, but I'm assuming he wants to protect the league. Like, hey, this is what you do. I don't think he was saying that then, but just being that to the next generation, because that's one of the knocks on Jordan, or even Brett Favre. I remember him saying with Aaron Rodgers, "It's not my responsibility to teach him," but ain't it?
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's weird because like the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, like Aaron Rodgers was finna take your job, so it's like.
But you done live your career. I mean, you at that time, Brett Favre was a Super Bowl champion, several MVPs, and the reason why, in my opinion, the reason the Packers moved on from it, because he would never make up his mind. He gonna retire. He not gonna retire. It'd be middle of the summer before he decide, and I'm sure they got tired of that.
Yeah, true.
So hey, we draft this guy. We finna move on.
True.
So they cut him.
True. You point. Because at first I was thinking that like, well, if it's a guy right on my tail, do I get? But even if it's a guy right on your tail, you still do the right thing and show him the rope, show him the right way.
Because I think that opens your door to the next thing you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, at my age, man, I'm not trying to gig like that. I just not. I enjoy it. I want to do it selectively when I want to do it. But the guys who are hungry, I feel like they still need to know how to do it. You pass it on. That's how you. I heard Teddy Riley say that. He's like, man, I show my stuff. That's how I ensure my legacy. Because when I die, if everything I knew go with me, it's over.
Yeah.
I play with a couple bands. Man, Tennessee Whiskey is such a big song. And I think it's the story of it.
It's a lot of the story.
Like, like you were just saying, like what gravitates people to country music in general. Like, I remember, I don't have a lot of songs that I know, but the songs I do, you remember the words more than anything.
That's the thing. So it's the words and like the story, and man, there's so many songs out there that talk about dad, mom, grandpa, whatever. family, and all. I'm like, man, that it's a lot of songs about attending a church service, and at the end of the church service, everybody's singing "Amazing Grace." Yeah. Mama's hands up high. I remember that. Yeah. I remember that in church, and it happened just like the song, and that's what got me so good. And I was like, man, that is the type of songs I want to write.
Right.
Those are the type of songs I want to perform and come up with, and tell my story through that. So. You kind of got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. And I tell people, man, honestly, it's like a skill. It's like anything else in life. Like, everybody, most aspiring musicians, singers, artists, they want to come out with a #1 hit. But I'm like, it's just like learning to walk. Like, you don't just decide as a baby, I'm going to walk to the store. And you try, you fall.
Yeah.
You figure out. So it's kind of like, it's a building skill. And I think that's important. Now, some people are gifted and just have it. Like, they can't even explain how they do it.
Right.
But, most of us have to learn the process.
It's a work. It's a work, and and like I say, and there's a lot of people say, "Man, you're so talented." And I know you God-given talent, and God did have something to do with that. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work
at home, sitting on the edge of the bed.
No one's looking.
Nobody's looking, and you over and over, and it's practice. A lot of practice, a lot of work, and that's the God-given ability,
right?
To apply your mind and your physical ability to something that you want to do and be better at, and so.
But 9 years, man, I'm still tripping on that. I'm thinking you was gonna say, I started playing when I was like 3, and 9 years ago, man, it's like that's 2015.
Yeah, 2015. That's when I started singing. That's the first time I ever sang in front of anybody.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah.
Do you still get nervous now?
Oh yeah.
I think there's like a sacredness in in that. Like
that's part of the high.
Like
that's
part of
the
exchange with the audience.
Oh,
How they gonna respond to it.
You're not sure. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Right. And in your mind, I don't know if you're like me. I have my mind like this song is going to. This gonna be the one, and then it end up being this song.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I look at it like, man, if anybody ever wanna, I look at this like fishing. Yeah. You got your stuff, you got your lures, boom, you go to the water and you throw that lure out there, and then you don't know what you're gonna catch, if you're gonna catch anything. Right. So the songs, you come up with these songs, whether it be a cover or whatever, but it coming through you. It's like to an audience. You're not sure which one is gonna do it. We're just gonna try. I'm gonna throw this one at y'all. Let's see. If you don't like it, we'll throw you another one.
Right. I like that analogy because
it's just like that.
It speaks to, and I don't fish because my attention span. My attention span ain't long enough. I would probably be out there sleep.
Yeah, that's cool.
But too. In fishing, you have to, you go.
You go.
Not knowing.
You don't know what's going to happen.
It's the consistency in going. I like that.
The songs are like that. The image and the whole thing. If you're gonna try to do this artistry thing. Whatever you do, it's just like that. You put your artwork together. A painter, same way.
Same thing.
Paints a painting, and all right, here my painting world, and you don't know if they're gonna accept it or what. But it's your art. You put the work in, and that's what it is. And just believe in that. Believe in yourself. And
okay, man, that's gold. Artists, I hope y'all heard that.
If you're an artist or a songwriter or whatever, a picture, a painter.
And that's a big thing of mine. I one of the purposes of the show is to give us a platform, a place to kind of speak our truths, because we don't sometimes we're in performance mode a lot.
Yeah.
You don't really get an opportunity to sit down and just that, but to bring awareness to the plethora of art that we have in Meridian,
and just in this area,
in this area, man, like
photography, art,
painters, spoken word,
all
of that, man, dance,
storytelling, all that. It's all in an art form.
Yeah,
and you have to really believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, and just this is what it is,
and do that,
and give it to the world.
It just speaks for itself. Like if people look at my journey from where my music started to where it is today. Right. It shows that I've just embraced who I am, and that's really. I just want people, when they hear my music, to get to know me.
Right. And I think I always say music is progressive. Yeah. It's kind of like it takes you, or it should kind of lead you into places. And I think it's so important when, I think that's the definition of artistry, that you're sharing a portion of who you're sharing who you are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and that's what I believe, this is my personal opinion, people connect with when they can say, we see a lot now with social media and so many things. It's a facade. Yeah. Rappers rapping about things they've never been through, or even that. But when you can really express yourself, I think that's true artistry.
Yeah. You just caused me to think of when I worked at Popeyes, and I feel like there was a time where I started embracing more of my journey. And I remember being on a break one time, looking up in the sky. It was so beautiful outside. And it was some music that I had back then. I didn't release it because I was afraid of what people would think. I was afraid of how not only would it impact me, but how would this impact my family?
Right.
I knew back then I could feel it, even though I wasn't walking fully in it. I could feel the purpose of my journey, how impactful it would be. And for me, my journey is more about being impactful versus just being known.
You're right.
So I had a song back then, and I'm like, I'm afraid, because I thought about Martin Luther King and different ones who passed away because of their purpose. And so back then, I'm like, you know what? And it spoke to my spirit. If you're not walking in purpose, you're a dead man walking.
Right.
If you're not walking in purpose, you're a dead man walking. So from then, it just shook my spirit up. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather live each moment out fully, feeling like I'm truly alive, than to be living in fear
and really be a dead person walking because I'm not giving people who I am.
Right. There's so much vulnerability in being a creative. I say that. I said that on to some friends. Like, you have to have or accept some level of vulnerability because, like you said, what you share might not be received.
Yeah.
What you share might not be liked.
Yeah.
You know, so that's all, and I think that's something everybody go through. I know I've done just some things that's different, way different than what I felt people knew me as, and just having those thoughts like, man, like what are people gonna think? Are they gonna like this? Like, what is this? Am I gonna explain it? You know, that kind of thing. So I think that's really a thing, you know, for artists, especially because you kind of what's the word? Like you don't hide. You know, you're very assertive in the things that you believe. What is your creative writing, whatever process? Like, what is there something that you know, maybe it's not sacred or something that you can't share?
It's not sacred. It's not. So because it's weird. So it's just whenever it hit.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm trying to, when someone says I need this, my first thing that I do is I will go research the topic, kind of read on it, say like they want something about. I'm trying to think, because someone did hit me. I love, but hey, I want you to talk about breaking up or something like that. And so I'll just kind of research. Before the internet, I used to just pull out a dictionary and I look up the word breakup, or I look up the word love, and just find synonyms and things of that nature until inspiration hits me. Right. And like, boom.
So you kind of research it until you just get in a vein of that.
Yeah. Okay. Or quotes. Okay. I'm a lover of like different quotes, and I look up a quote and I'm like, oh man, okay, I think I can write around that.
Right. I heard PJ Morton say that one time. He was talking about let go. And he's like, man, that's something I try to take familiar phrases and just use that, because he said we always say that, let go, let God.
Yeah.
So just doing that. So that's pretty.
Yeah. And
smart, actually.
And so and to be honest, listen, if you are a songwriter or a creative like that, because I'm 46, I have been been writing for a while. Right. So a lot of stuff I really don't have to kind of research. Right. So it's like you hit me up with ideas, I can go to a note or something like that, and then what I do is take pieces of it. Right. Like there were songs that I just wrote out and was like, man, just wrote, this is gonna sound nice, blah blah blah, and I always I tell my wife and others, look, every song is up for sale, quote unquote. Yeah, like I'm not stuck with any song. Right. So if I wrote something, I'm like, man, this sounds great for me. Yeah. Now if PJ come a calling and say, man, I want XYZ, I will pull out pieces of songs that I've recorded on my in my studio, my little bitty makeshift studio. You know, it's not for me. I'll just I'll pull a piece there, or it's a vamp here, or a chorus, or something. Okay. Yeah. And so I say keep whenever inspiration, do not just say, man, that sounded great. I'll do that when I get home. I write it down or sing it out. You will not remember it.
Family is a blessing. And it's hard to sometimes, depending on the situation, it's hard for family to understand a different purpose.
True.
So did you run into that
with
your family? Okay.
Yes, I did. And that's why I held on so long, because I probably would have been left to start it. But in the midst of trying to, my father come to me, hey son, sip. Yeah. My brother come to me, hey Marvin, hey, so I hang on a little while longer. Right. Yeah. And it got to the point where I know change had to come in my life. Right. Not just with the music, just life itself. Yeah. Cause I knew I had a calling, brother.
Yeah.
I had a calling, man, and brother, it scares me today if I would have lost my life without fulfilling the purpose.
Yeah.
Bruh, where I would have opened my eyes and where I would have been, bruh.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
So, with the calling on my life, and I knew I really was on borrowed time, brother.
Right.
Yeah. I knew I had to make a move. I knew I had to get this journey started.
Right.
And I prayed to God and I asked God to give me more time. And it's just something in you, man, that push, brother, that's in you, that when you definitely know it's time.
Man, it's so many people bound by that though, man. And and it's because you don't want to disappoint your family. I'm like I said, man, I just feel so connected to you, like a lot of things that happen.
Yes, sir.
You feel like you have to be there for everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you get to a point to where you realize I'm giving everything, like a portion of what I could, because I'm trying to do everything. Like I'm trying to make this program, but I'm trying to leave there early. Can we sing first? Because I got to go over here too.
Right.
And it's really unfair to everybody.
Spreading yourself short too, man.
Yeah. So that's a thing. And it takes courage to do that. It takes understanding. It takes a lot of love.
One thing that we were sharing before we started taping, man, when you were saying that if you dedicate yourself to one thing, you can't help but to be great at it. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense, brother.
Yeah. It's hard, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, like you, and for me, I would be pissed off at this group for fussing at me for feeling like I'm not giving it to them, giving them my all, and this group upset because I'm late here, and I'm thinking like, y'all don't know what I'm doing just to be here for both of y'all. And they don't have to understand that. Like
and the wear and the tear.
Oh man.
Oh yes, sir.
Sleep.
And from getting from point A to point B, but you had to endure to get.
Yeah, because you know it ain't around the corner.
Exactly.
One in Tula, the other one in
exactly
the Bahamas. A lot of people start, particularly in arts, music, comedy, those things, for the money, and it's just hard to love it. It's hard to excel in it. You can write a song and it'll be a hit, but like if you don't truly love it, you don't love the process of it, it's gonna be hard to do. It's gonna be hard to continue to do because if you do get lucky and get a lot of money, you're done. But the enjoyment of knowing that you touch those kids or plan to see that, I think that's way more than compensation helps. Don't get me wrong, but that's way more. Do you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm grateful to have been gifted in an art form.
Right.
And the ability and the willingness to share it for free.
Right, yeah.
And I'm grateful that people see the value that say no, we want to compensate you for your art. We know it took a lot of time perfecting the way you're going to tell it. The costumes that you wear, the things that you do, the instruments that you carry, we value all of that. And I was surprised, I guess, really to see how people valued that work. And so I've been working professionally now for about 16, 17 years. Yeah. I have found every time I give my gift away, it comes back in spades. Wow. I used to volunteer. Just a quick story. Right. When I was in college, I wanted to learn about studying broadcasting. So I volunteered at a community TV station there in Starkville. I went to Mississippi State.
Go down.
But so from there, as a freshman, I get a chance to come in contact with people from the university that also volunteered their time. So they were looking for somebody to videotape girls' volleyball games. And so I'm like, sure, I'll do it. And did it for free, just for the experience. And they said, no, we can't let you do it for free. What if we
we let you eat. Back in those days, the athletes had a separate place to eat, the training table, better food.
Better food.
So it's like, here's a free, you can eat at the training table. And so then spring football or something came, or basketball came, I think, next. And it was like, we want to do this. And so what if we give you a little bit this? And we'll pay your books. And then spring football comes. So what if we just give you a full scholarship and you work for the university and you do this? And I'm just like, cool.
Right.
But it never would have happened if I would say, well, how much?
Yeah.
I'm just doing it for the experience and the growth.
Just experience and growth.
And so that's always happens for me.
Right.
So telling stories, it was because I love to do it.
Yeah.
And then people say, well, we really love to hear you doing it because we can tell you really love doing it. And so it's for the compensation. But doing anything for money, as a poet, as a musician, as anything, if you don't just love to play, if you don't just love to write, if you don't just love to perform, then you can get out there and be good at it. But what if nobody has the money to? Do you just stay silent? The gift has to come out somewhere.
Yeah. I always say money is the lowest form of compensation.
Okay.
Because there's so many like relationships. One thing that I have been doing recently, just kind of studying greats. The Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and all these people in different areas, and all of them have a just pure love for it. Of course, they're extremely wealthy, but they actually love doing it. And I hope, that we can find that love, that passion for it. Because, social media makes everything. We've talked about that, how social media basically blows up everything. It makes it look, I can't think of the word. But anyway, it makes it look more than what it really is.
Right.
It doesn't show the struggles or the disappointments or the things you need to do. We're not going to skip over the hammer part just like that because, and one reason I had to get you on here because, man, we've been working together almost 15 years, something like that. But I don't think a lot of us that are my age and younger really understand what you've contributed to the music industry, not just here. And you've shared some old clips here and there of, when you was on Arsenio Hall, when you was on the Grammys, when you was on award shows, and like you weren't just a dancer, you was, so like kind of take us into that because I think one thing that really is on my heart to do is really to let people know, anybody know Terrence? He's very what's the word? He's sure in what he tells you, and there's a reason. What I'm learning, there's a reason you are sure in that. So, kind of talk about that, man. How did that happen, or some things that happened from that you learned from that is really helping you now?
Well, being prepared when we did decide to go into the rap part of my life, and I was with this young lady by the name of Treasure Shields Redmond and another young man by the name of Arthur Williams, and we created the group Sonic MCs at that time. And we knew that what we were trying to do, we needed to be perfected. So the time came where MC Hammer came to Meridian, Mississippi, Temple Theater in concert, and at that time he was looking for groups to sign to his Busted Capital label. We met with another one of my classmates' mom, Miss Dorothy Stennis, in the auditorium. Some things happened that we were not able to go immediately to Hammer. So Miss Stennis saw me and Treasure sitting in the auditorium waiting, and she asked us what was going on. We told her what was going on. Miss Stennis went into the ballroom where Hammer was and asked Hammer, could these kids perform for you? They were promised to perform for you.
On spot?
On the spot. They were promised to perform for you. Can they perform for you? And Hammer was like, sure. Everybody there was sitting, eating, and we came in, turned the box on, and when we turned the box on, the rest was, can you guys go with us to California tonight? And we explained to Hammer that, no, man, we're in high school. We're in high school.
We got algebra in the morning.
Come on, Doc. Exactly. We're in high school and we're preparing to actually graduate. And we kept in contact with him. And the fall of actually 89 and 90 is when we actually moved out to California. Wow. Now, when moving out to California, we were moving out under the premises of he was going to sign the group One Cause, One Effect to consecutive album deals. And we got there and we were working on the project when he was working on his movie, Here Comes the Hammer, as well as preparing for his international tour. Where something happened during that process where Too Big MC could not go with him on the international tour. So I'm in the studio, Treasure and I doing what we're doing, preparing for our album, and I get word back from Hammer overseas, start learning my material. You're going to be my next hype man. So I'm like, wait a minute, I just got here, Doc. What you mean the next hype man? I just got here. So everybody in the posse at that time were very excited about the fact that he not only chose me, but they felt like I could do the job. Okay. And now I felt like, Fox, that I was prepared to do the job, but not on this scale.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. We prepared ourselves back in Mississippi. Right. Everything that we were doing to perfect what we were doing, presented ourselves the professional way that when that door opened, in the Temple Theater in the ballroom, we were ready. Right. So it was no time to get ready. We were ready. Right. And that readiness proved to him that I could take on the role of being his hype man and doing what was needed to be done. And brother, when Hammer got back from the international tour and we start doing the rehearsals, now you're talking about a brother that was showing up scared. Now I'm standing next to one of the major rappers in the country at this point.
Right.
And his perfection level, my brother, was a totally different level, but he guided me in such a way that I could take on what he was asking me to do, but then at the same time, stay who I was.
Right.
And this is a personal thing. Let me just say, this is, as a matter of fact, I think the number one thing in the kingdom of God that we turned into a weakness that's supposed to be a strength is diversity.
Right.
We're supposed to be
absolutely,
different,
absolutely.
Yeah. And so you do it however you do it, and that you seek Jesus however you do, and that's fine. But for me, I don't know the word I'm looking for, maybe formality. I kind of got lost in I was having a hard time comparing the way I was living my life as a pastor to Jesus.
Okay.
And so I know we're probably going to get to this later, but I wouldn't say I'm like Jesus, but I would say what I do now is actually kind of closer
than then.
Yeah, it's really grassroots kind of.
And I think speaking to that part of ministry is hard. Mm-hmm. I've served as a musician for forever.
Yeah,
20 plus years.
Long time. Yeah.
And that's a hard thing. Like you said, you see, what am I doing? I ask that question all the time. I got a good friend, a minister. I asked, man, what are we doing? That's not how it should be. We and it's. I would like you to speak to this. Like I said earlier, you've seen this on a much larger scale than I have, but the driven results expectations. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it. Expectation. What I want to say that we have now. I feel like 20 years ago, we didn't have that, or maybe I was just too young to really understand it, just naive. I think there's a blessing in being naive, too.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But,
man, yeah. I'm an ignorance is bliss kind of guy.
But the expectation of ministry, like you said, even when there's nothing you can do about some people's situation, but you just have such a heart to it, and you feel like maybe I do have the answer, but maybe that ain't the answer for them, maybe, all that kind of stuff. Where do you see that now?
Once again, I feel like at the end of the day, and this is not up to me to decide. Now, of course, you'll see in people's lives, you'll see the fruit of it. If it's real, I guess you'll see the fruit of it. But it's not up to me to say. At the end of the day, I guess it's just what's happening in your heart. Because growing up, man, I was always scared to death, that if I have a bad thought, I'm going to burn in hell or something, I ultimately have gotten to realize that whether you come together with 10 people and at church on Sunday or 20,000, what's happening in your heart is really what matters. And I'm not qualified to say what that is. I think one thing for me that has happened is I did not realize what God had in store until I sort of got outside of the bubble that I was in. You know, that's the only world you see, and it's hard to think of people a different way or whatever until you get out of it.
I'm telling you, you are verbalizing like all of my thoughts because, you know, and with good intentions, we grow up in a situation that we feel applies to everyone else. You know, like, and you get older and you realize. I mean, that's nothing wrong with what I have experienced.
Yeah.
That's not everyone's experience, well, and I can't hold them to that.
You meet these people, and you're like, man, you know, these people very clearly do know the Lord.
Right.
And in my mind, you know, and even in my 20s, as a matter of fact, my 20s was probably the most judgmental period of my life. You know, in my mind, I was like, oh, there's no way if they do this or they don't do this. Because, you know, I mean, I grew up, and I don't want to get myself in trouble on your show, but man, I grew up thinking, oh, man, if you don't go to church every Sunday, you know. But now I'm learning, man. Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work for people. There are people that are just not cut out. I believe in church and the community and all, but some people it just doesn't work for.
I think it is controversial for people to sing secular music and sing in the church. Really? It's just a thing. I almost said something.
You think that's controversial?
Yes, very much so.
I don't think that.
For musicians, it's not.
It's the same thing. You just said it's still an occupation.
No, I'm saying for music. You're right. Yeah, so I don't know what the double standard it is.
It's a double standard.
It is.
But you just prove it's a double standard.
It is. It's okay.
I don't. You know, I feel like even me. You know, my artistry. You know, I do think there are different not levels but spaces. Mm-hmm. So for me. You could come to I think my show, anybody could come to. You bring your kids to it.
Mine too. Because by myself. If it was one by myself.
Okay. But I'm just saying, like, my music kind of is not neutral, but I don't, you know, what I like. But I do feel, and agree with you this, musicians or music in general is the only profession that is restricted church music. If we're a church musician, church singer, we're restricted to those four walls, and we're frowned upon when we go other places. For instance, if a doctor is a church member, he's going to see patients that are probably not saved, and there's not going to be nothing said.
And he can't
if you're a construction worker, you are a deacon.
And you building the club.
You're going to build a building that's probably not sacred.
That's true.
But for us. When we go do,
and the explanation that the church gives us is, of course, because you know you don't want your sound. You know, we talk about this sound now.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That's so crazy. But you know, you don't want your gift to be used in a manner that is not conducive toward your lifestyle or the way you're living, or you know.
Oh really?
What you're
okay.
So I think that's.
But I think that applies to everybody else too.
It does, but hey, I don't know why.
Yeah, if you building buildings, I want you to use your gift.
You need to come build some more churches.
Yeah, right.
Nah,
for free too. How about that? Anyway? Okay. Let's keep going.
But like I said. I think it's a thing. So, but I just felt like my sound, and I just felt like I really do believe. This is my belief.
Okay.
I believe God was really calling me to the secular for a sound.
I got you. Hey.
When people are touched by a sound and they still be like, "Girl, I know you." You go to church, and I'll be like, girl, I do. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
I think there's a sound. If we want to keep the sound in church,
we're gonna miss it.
We gonna miss God. We gonna miss a bunch of people that could be saved because we want to keep the sound in church.
I'll go with you there.
So now people might argue and be like, Dria, well, you ain't have to sing Southern Soul, and that's true. I can only say you're right. I did.
Listen, I went to a PJ Morton show. That's my guy, PJ.
Mine too.
And I was, person I was with said, I mean, because it was a moment. Like, it was a moment where, like, I was kind of looking like, what's going to happen? You know, it was like people crying, like it was kind of that
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah.
And somebody said, man, he missed his calling. He should have been a minister.
Did he?
And I said, no, he's right where he's supposed to be. He wouldn't be as effective as he, like, but that's how we look at it. You know what I'm saying?
And I've had shows and moments where people be like, man, you still got it.
Yeah.
Like, was I supposed to lose it because I played?
Well, that's the general thought.
Yeah. Well, you don't lose it. Now, and that I feel like you only lose if you're out of the will. But who can? Only your natural eye can tell me that I'm out of the will of God. My fruit, it shows that I'm in the will. So, and that's that's an opinion.
Okay.
So.
Melvin Calhoun, shout out to Melvin, that always says ministry versus industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are two components that particularly Christian artists deal with. Mm-hmm. There's a ministry side that is sacred, and then we have to know the business, the industry. I saw something earlier. Right now, there's a bill in Congress passing to get musicians a penny for every stream, opposed to the 0.000 whatever it is, which will definitely help creatives, kind of get revenue from back. It costs to make an album. It costs to make a single. It costs to come in spaces and do those things. So, what is, I'm gonna ask Krista first. What's your take on that ministry kind of versus industry? I feel you need to know both well to be successful, whatever you deem to be success. But how do you feel about that?
I think there's definitely a need for an integration of the two if you're being serious about being an artist. That no matter what genre you represent, simply because people can appreciate your gift anywhere and at any time, but people can also take advantage. There's an appreciation, and then there's an advantage that can be taken of if you're ignorant to what industry standards are, how business deals work. And so even if the genre that you're representing is of Christ, if it is godly, you still, the scripture teaches us to be wise as a serpent. Just be harmless as a dove. And so that means that I need to have a duality. I can be pure in my worship, but when I go in the boardroom to talk business, we're going to talk business. And it's going to be done decently, and it's going to be done in order, but and not being afraid to be lamb and lion. There's a time for both, if you will.
Just, I know we talk about radio and all the things, and you have to be careful because you get caught up in numbers, streaming, and all those things. So how do you kind of balance that as an artist?
So this is something that I have done a lot of thought about, and mainly because as a worship leader, as a trying to center my life around Christ, Christ calls us to lay down our life for Him too, right? And because He's laid down His life for us, and we're so to get away from that old life is really hard in a world that if you're a musician and you go on Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, you put something out there, about 99% of everything that's put out there is not, it doesn't go viral. It's not something that is, just is heard by the masses. In fact, if you post something, anything, it's probably not going to be heard by as many people as you think it is, even if you tag friends now. And it used to not be like that. People that got into Facebook, especially in the early days, had a tremendous amount of gain compared to what you have now. In fact, if you don't pay to play nowadays, you don't get your music heard. So, for me, I'm not out there to be. I'm not in it to be famous or to really that type of exposure at all. But if you don't have exposure, if you don't put yourself out there, no one will hear the message that God's calling you to put out there with your music or with just sharing the gospel in general. So it's a tough thing. But I think the thing I think about as I have to remember before I get on stage, before I go online or whatever I'm doing is God calls us to do whatever we do it for the glory of God, not for ourselves.
Hey, we back. I want to say thank you for staying to the end, watching all these episodes, these moments with us. I hope you have truly enjoyed what we've offered during this season. As you can see, we've had some amazing times. We've had some amazing guests, and they are some phenomenal people. So I want to just say some thank yous right now. I want to thank Mr. Aaron Wyndham and the Max for letting us use this facility. I want to thank Mr. Roger and the Temple for letting us use his facility, the Temple Theater, for that episode. I want to thank all of our amazing guests. We had Terrence Davis, we had Jonathan Quigley, Krista Overby, we had Terrence Roberts, we had Pastor Marvin Brown, we had Miss Dria, we had Michelle Black, we had Daniel Houze, we had Joseph Moore, we had Todd Tilghman, we had Ray Bradford. We had some amazing people on to share just from their hearts, their failures, their successes, their good moments. I think one of the most fun things we had during this season was the game. Everybody kind of shared something special during that time. So thank you to all of them for all their sacrifice and making it happen for us this year. I want to say thank you give a shout out to Mr. Shannon Houze of I Endure Apparel. We're going to see a lot more of that coming in the future. So shout out to him. And lastly, but definitely not least, I want to say thank you to each one of you for tuning in. We wouldn't have no one to watch if you didn't watch. So again, thank you for sharing, for commenting, for all that you did to make season 1 of Planted by Ear what it is. We are super excited about the future, but we are very, very grateful for season 1 of Planted by Ear. See you soon.